Here we go. Right. So we got some nice ambient noise again.
Yeah.
For you hardcore fans who missed it, who tired of the,
Of the
lack
real
of,
high quality, those recording booths. Like, come on.
Let's not get too above our station. I wouldn't call it high.
No. Who are tired of the podcast.
Oh, and
with
other
high
people
quality,
podcast.
other people,
Yeah. Do other people do podcasts wrong? I don't think so. This is the only one that matters, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't really think there are any others.
And which podcast?
I've heard it's a very easy to get into kind of industry. It's like it's very empty. Like there's nothing out there.
No. I think we may be. So
one of the few were like the pioneer.
There's certainly not a glut of them.
No, not at all. Right?
No. Ha! Top satire. So anyway,
wow.
What are we? Where are we, Ron? Introduce the show because it's your choice this time out.
Okay, well, I'm just going to do a little bit of a disclaimer today
before you even introduce the show.
Before I introduce the show,
okay.
We have Clive and I. Or anyway, welcome to the Monday Morning Wood.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, that one. Okay. That introduction of the show.
Yeah.
No, I'll do that after that. This is the Magic Morning Wood. Yeah. By the way. Yeah. And I'm Ron.
And I'm Clive.
Okay, good.
Now
I've done that. Okay,
got that out
now I'm back under the disclaimer.
Yes.
So Clive and I have had some scheduling issues recently because usually we go by the situation that I'm busy and he isn't, and he kind of fits himself into my schedule.
Pretty much.
But now Clive is now busy these days, and so now it's sort of been, the only time that we can meet is sort of
revenge is sweet.
So you're supposed to be following my lead. You're supposed to be fitting yourself into my schedule.
Yes.
Anyway, so because of that, I didn't. There's a little bit of how do you say unsurety? How do you say that? What's the noun there?
I'm not sure where this is going, so I don't know how to help you.
Lack of sureness. How do you say it? Like unsure. Unsureness. What's the noun there?
If anyone were to listen, they're probably screaming at
So I don't know.
It's probably really obvious.
Yeah.
It'll come to us.
Anyway,
we know what you mean. Anyway.
I was not sure how or when we were actually going to get to meet, and so I watched the movies quite early this time, and so my memory of the movies a lot earlier than I usually do.
Right. We normally try and view them as close to recording as possible.
Yeah. So this one I kind of did quite early because we also had several to watch at once because we were going to try to get into a bunch at once. A bunch of wench. So, so the problem was, of course, that the disclaimer is, of course, that I may not just remember them that well. So.
You're not only forgetting regular words, you're making up new ones.
Making up new ones. Yeah,
you're on fire.
Yeah, great. And so again, about the ambience today, we are outside today. Yeah. So usually we have an not quiet, unquiet.
Right.
Quietness.
A wunch.
A wunch. Unquiet room. But now we just have an unquiet outside. So there's bicycles going by and someone's trimming their hedges. So
it's quite nice. It's
So welcome to. We're actually literally in the wood.
As we always are in our minds.
In our minds, but now we literally are.
Right.
Now we're literally.
Yeah.
Literally is a word, right?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can use that.
Yeah. Okay.
Although people, including yourself, sometimes I have to admit, and maybe I do it from time to time, but people do really abuse that word, don't they?
Yes,
nowadays.
They do. That's why
I was literally on fire. You weren't. You were literally on fire.
I actually, that's one of my pet peeves is the overuse of that word. And
you do it a lot yourself, I've noticed.
Do I?
Yeah.
Really?
You literally do.
But I actually try to stop myself and make sure that I only use it when it's actually appropriate.
Right.
So in this case, I was using it.
Yes, but
we are literally in a wood. That's what I was saying.
A few slip through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, please,
but then again,
when that happens, please just kick me in the nuts.
Right. Fair enough. I am a bit of one of those annoying grammar Nazis as well.
Yeah. I am as well, which is why I'm actually annoying myself by you telling me that because I try like I'm very conscious about actually not overusing.
When I hear people do it, I literally explode.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Grammar Nazi.
Anyway,
grammar.
As good as all this is.
Yeah.
Is that the disclaimer done?
Right. Yes.
Right.
So anyway, I might not actually remember what movie were we doing. I don't remember. Right.
Right. We're doing Wunch, the movie.
Wunch the movie. Okay, so anyway, so my choice was actually I don't even remember the title. But we were just talking about it before, and
Yes.
under a different title called One Eye.
They call it One Eye.
They
Yeah.
call her One Eye. But what is the actual title again?
Thriller.
Thriller.
A Cruel Picture.
Okay,
Wow.
right. That's right.
Wow, we're off to a good start.
Right. Or what is there's like another, the German one, the Das.
Well,
Thriller,
it's Swedish, right?
On Grimm
In
Film.
Grimm Film,
Yeah,
yes.
in Grimm Film. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what I was trying to think of.
Also,
Okay.
aka Hooker's Revenge as well at some point.
Any other AKAs? AKA Wanch.
Not that I wrote Wanch. Why not? Yeah.
One Eye Wanch. Right.
I always think of it as they call her One Eye because
Right.
that's kind of the that's the title. It had a major cult reputation for years
Right.
when lots of people hadn't actually seen it. It was one of those legendary kind of. But we'll get to that. So why did you choose this, Ron?
I didn't. You chose it.
No, you did.
No. So, just there's my second disclaimer.
No, seriously, this was your choice.
No. Well, yes and no, because what happened was that I had been looking for movies that I was thinking about possibly doing. Actually, I was looking for movies for the Halloween episode, and so I had done a search, just a Google search for kind of like lesser known kind of horror films or scary films or slasher films or something like that. And this one came up and it sounded interesting. I've actually never heard of it, never seen it.
Right.
So I put it on a list. And when I showed a list of other movies to you, just for saying oh, these are some movies I was thinking about doing, your eyes lit up like a child at Christmas, saying oh, let's do Thriller. We're doing Thriller. And I was
Right.
like, well, actually, I was thinking, no, we're doing Thriller. So.
I don't think that happened.
And I said, I'd like to do Battle Royale. And, no, we're doing Thriller. Because I was like, well, actually, I have Battle Royale included. No, we're doing Thriller. So that's exactly what happened. So
are you saying I bullied you into this
Yes,
choice?
I am saying that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true, yes.
Interesting.
So, but anyway, it was fun.
But I'm
We did.
surprised So this was the first few...
Yes, it was.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So it wasn't actually a film that I'd chosen because I was only considering doing it for something else, but then you were like,
Well,
let's do it.
I question your memory just because, as well, until, obviously we'll get to that watching it this time, this film, which I had seen before, I didn't have that high, well, I'm fucking losing vocabulary now, it's catching. I think it's the cold freezing our
This is
brains.
the bicycles.
I didn't have that high an opinion of it myself, so I'm kind of surprised. I suspect again it was probably on the list. It was maybe one that jumped out compared to, I don't know. You probably had Ernest Saves Christmas or something on there.
I'm fairly certain that wasn't on there, but I think that was on my other list. I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Ernest. What was the
The
Halloween
Ernest list.
one? Scared Stupid. Ernest Scared Stupid.
That's not the list.
Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have. I think I stopped at what Goes to Jail. I think I
Okay.
didn't see any after that one.
Scared Stupid is a very dodgy one.
I used to watch that TV show back in the day. There was he had his own TV show, or it was like a cameo, like a short on another show
Yes.
or something. I can't remember what show.
No,
it
I
was.
can't remember what it's called.
But
no.
I do remember
Yeah.
being a big Ernest fan back in the day. But no, that
But
certainly wasn't one of my choices.
Ernest Scared Stupid always stood out to me because that's the one. Because
Is there like an alien or something in it? Or something?
no,
or-
that's the one. Basically if you're familiar with Ernest, he's kind of a man-child,
Right,
isn't he?
yes,
Basically,
yes.
who in the world of the movies, he's kind of, I suppose, he's supposed to be a kind of lovable underdog, and everyone underestimates him, but he's smarter than you think.
Yeah.
But of course, if you take Ernest out of the movies and put him in real life, and if you consider the plot of Ernest Scared Stupid is Ernest and some children go off into the woods, and then some of the children go missing,
Oh.
and Ernest, the man-child, comes back and says, "Oh, some goblins took them." You're thinking, oh, the real life version of this involves a lynching, basically, right?
It's actually a real horror movie.
Yeah. So Ernest Scared Stupid always struck me as kind of, this seems likely ill-conceived.
Yeah, misconceived, I was going to say.
Unlike all the other Ernest films, of course, which are brilliant.
Really, yeah. I mean, I think Goes to Jail was an Oscar contender. But,
Right.
anyway, so anyway, regardless of how we chose it, this is what we landed on.
So Ron chose Thriller in
Clive
Grimm
Goldman.
Film,
Yeah.
a Cruel Picture, which seems to be, judging from the film opening, the font, seems like it is actually the proper original title, right?
On Grimm Film.
No, Thriller, A Cruel Picture in English.
Right? A Cruel
Because
Picture,
it looks
yeah.
like part of the original film, right? Rather than
yeah.
a new computer-generated title or something like
so
that.
I don't know where Ungrim Film came from. Maybe that's how it was marketed originally.
Yes, I think so, maybe on the posters and stuff. Because, of course, most Swedes speak English, pretty fluently.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh, yeah.
You know a lot?
Yes, yeah. So most Swedes have English as a second language, which is almost up to the...
Please tell me more about Swedish people.
They like clogs.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
and furniture.
Okay, yeah.
Inexpensive,
Right, okay.
easily assembled furniture.
interesting.
Which I don't
Okay.
care what anyone says.
Do they like meatballs?
Yeah,
Yes.
Try and get between a Swede and a meatball.
How about yodeling?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's more Swiss.
Is it?
But
Okay.
the Swedes will have a go.
Yeah, sure.
They'll have a
okay.
crack at it.
Okay, good.
Pet peeves, here's another one, as well as grammar thing, is I don't understand this kind of perceived wisdom that IKEA furniture is difficult to put together. You hear this like a gag all the time, right? It's like IKEA, and you're thinking, no, it's fucking
It's
easy.
It's
yeah,
easy.
you're retarded or something.
Yeah.
You're Ernest.
Yeah.
Ernest goes to IKEA.
I think the issue is that, have you put any IKEA furniture together recently?
Yeah.
Recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue, of course, is that in order to make it international, they have no language instructions. It's just it's just visual pictures. So I think probably people who are not visual learners probably can't make heads or tails
or
of
the blind.
the issue.
I could understand the
The
blind.
blind, the blind, or the dumb.
But who's blind nowadays? This is not as fashionable as it
I think
used to be.
Swedish people are blind though. So.
No, absolutely
No.
not.
Okay. Anyway. Right. Anyway, so back to the
Apologies to blind listeners.
movie. And the blind Swedes especially. So back to the movie in question.
Yes.
The one that you bullied me into choosing. So it's basically a classic revenge film about in a nutshell. Help! This is me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Had to get it in there.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
It's like, this is me in a nutshell. Or bork. That's a Swedish chef.
Oh,
in a
right.
nutshell.
Do Swedish people say pork?
Bork. It's not pork. It's bork.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where's that from then?
It's the Swedish chef. The Swedish from the Muppet Show. It's the character, the Swedish chef, and he would always
Did he say bork?
Yeah, his language was always like completely unintelligible, and he would like make something, and then he'd like have like knives and things would be flying. Right, like that.
I'm wondering if
it became like
if the Swedish chef was is that from a particular period of the Muppets? Because I have very fond memories of some Muppets, but the Swedish chef, I know what you mean, but it's not something overly familiar. So was the Swedish chef like a more recent addition, or
no? I believe I haven't watched the Muppet Show. I don't think Muppet Show is even on anymore. So it was like it was when I was a kid. So the 1800s, right? So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a Swedish chef. Anyway, where we go with our there's my vocabulary gone again.
This is a cracking podcast.
What's the word when you go off tangents?
Tangents.
Yeah, tangents.
Yes,
right.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So anyway,
AKA one shiz.
Right. So, but the movie. It's
the one that you watched a year ago.
Yes.
In preparation.
Wait, what happened in it again? So the
So where it starts?
Yes.
Starts,
well, yeah. So it's a woman, and she.
Well, no, it starts with the little girl, right? And it's like it's a kind of it's not a prologue because it's after the credits, but it's a little girl, and it starts it's a very idyllic kind of sun-dappled kind of, and there's a little girl jumping about in the woods and stuff, and then there's like there's an old fella there, isn't there? There's like an old fella, and she gives him a leaf or something, and you think, oh, it's grandpa or something like that, but then suddenly
it turns dark.
It turns Engrim film,
right?
Doesn't it? And which is a little. I mean, I know you probably don't remember anything, but it's an odd. So basically, the old man assaults her. It's off screen.
Yeah,
it's one of the few
it's sort of implied
tastefully done things.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But what's peculiar is,
considering the rest of the movie is quite exploitation, it was funny that they decided to keep this one sort of in your imagination.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what's strange about it though is he suddenly he seems to have like something happens to him. He gets this look on his face, right? And at first I was thinking, oh, is he having a heart attack or something, or is something happening? Because mouth starts bleeding. Did you notice that? He's like he grabs and he's like looking, and then his mouth starts bleeding.
Oh, really?
And I never figured out what that is. Oh. So I thought, it's going to be, she's going to be traumatized to see her grandpa die in front of her or something. But no, he
assaults her.
Yeah, I guess. Because then the police are leading him away.
Right.
And the little girl's mother slaps him in the face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And, so then you see her, she's grown up now, she's a mute.
Yes.
She doesn't speak because she's traumatized from this event in her childhood.
Right.
And she
played
works
by the lovely Christina Lindberg.
Okay, yeah. And she is like working on a farm or like kind of a
yes. I think it's her parents' farm.
It's a dairy farm. So she's very just a quiet kind of worker on this dairy farm, and she's
quiet because she's mute.
Because she's mute, right? But the farmer is also quiet, right? So, and so she goes to get on a bus. She's going to school or something.
I think she's.
So it was a year ago.
She's getting treatment, right?
Treatment.
She's
right.
Like
speech therapy. That's right.
Yes,
speech therapy.
Yes.
So she's going to her speech therapy. She goes to get on the bus, and she misses the bus.
Yeah.
And so instead, this kind of like real cool cat guy in a cool car pulls up and chaps her up.
Played by one Heinz Hopf.
Okay.
And as soon as you see him, you're like, don't get in the car with
don't
him.
get in the
Because he's like, proper kind of. His line is something like, why don't you give me one good reason you wouldn't get in this car with me? I just think, well, that line for one. I mean, just fucking say, would you like a lift or something?
Yeah.
But instead she kind of smiles.
She's all like, kind of like bats her eyelashes or whatever, and gets in the car and takes her away, and it goes to his place, and no. First they go out and they have a bit of dinner. Right. Yeah. Yes. They go to a restaurant. And, and he realizes that she's a mute. And so
the reason I mention it is because we'll get to this. There's a lot of stuff in this movie which one of the reasons I like this movie is it exists in totally its own hermetically sealed world of logic. And this is a good example. So she's on her way to appointment with a speech therapist, right? Which I'm assuming she's got catching a bus that's just down the road or something. By the time they actually get there in his car, it's dark for a start. So I'm thinking, what time was her appointment? And then she seems in no rush to go to the speech therapist. Let's go to a restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a very odd. It's almost like that kind of thing where you write a script and you're like, rather than try and figure out how to get from A to B logically, I just want them to go to a restaurant. Take them to a restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
And then so she goes back to his home eventually.
Right, yeah. And he kind of tries to seduce her a little bit. She's very kind of like
plies her with alcohol.
Yeah, he gives her alcohol and stuff. And then,
I don't blame him. She's fucking hot.
Yeah, she's quite cute.
Yeah.
And then and so then ends up being that he's drugged her. He in his drugs, and so then she passes out, and you see him on the phone. He's calling someone, one of his associates, kind of like dark associate, and kind of dark turns dark. He realizes he's the bad guy the whole time, and that he's got some sort of like a connection. Well, I found another one, or and so this one's going to take a little bit of time to get ready and stuff like that.
Right.
So and so then you see him kind of like a montage almost of him like training her and training her and
as fans.
My fans.
It was a couple of young bikini-clad women bouncing down the street and waving at us.
I wish you guys could see this.
Which happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, in winter. So he goes. So he kind of like in the montage, kind of little by little trains her to, and you realize that he's basically getting her addicted to heroin.
Yes.
So that he can use her as a prostitute.
Yes.
And have the heroin as the way of keeping her there. Right?
Yes. So clients basically seem to come to the house, right, including someone called Weirdo Anderson.
Right.
And there's, I suppose they spice it up a bit. So, like, one of the clients is a woman, so there's some lesbian sex as well. Yeah. And
it seems that the point is to kind of make it a little bit of a hardcore as well, right? So there's
there's inserts. There's hardcore
inserts, right?
Which alas do not include.
But I'm assuming that the choice of the Johns,
Yeah.
quote unquote Johns, were so that they could have kind of like one of this kind of hardcore and a lesbian hardcore and like so.
I guess, but the inserts. I mean, because I don't think the inserts are basically. Unfortunately, it's not Christina Lindbergh. It's clearly someone else, but they're not. It's not as if they're. Well, I say clearly. It's not as if that's not the same person, but there are never faces in the frame. In fact, it's just close up genitalia. It's penetration. I believe there's one cum shot, isn't there? But as far as I can tell, it's pretty. I think it's all the same two performers.
I see. Okay.
Rather than you don't really see. Well, I don't know. I suppose it's difficult to judge, but from what I believe, I think they just got some live sex show performers from Stockholm,
right?
And then they just filmed their genitals, and then they just inserted it.
Right. Yeah. So
because in 1973 in Sweden, you could do these kind of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you see her become sort of he makes her work as a prostitute, and she's kind of at first resistant, and obviously doesn't want to do it, and then
she claws
the face. So the first time he claws his face, and goes out and like, what the hell are you doing here? So then he goes in and he kind of like redrugs her. He doesn't do the eye right away, right? Is that the first? I think it's
no. I think he pretty much.
Is it right away? I thought
it
was the second time. Anyway, so to punish her for striking back at the clients, he basically knifes her eye, which comes for the kind of more popular title. They call her One Eye, right?
Which is a very graphic little scene.
Yeah. It seems like a peeled grape or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah, it's
at first, when you see the knife go towards the eye, it's pretty good. It's better than like the scene in the New York Ripper or something like that. It looks more realistic. And when the knife actually goes in, there's like fluid, and it's just it's it's quite, just that extra bit of detail that you need, right?
Yeah, that makes it kind of more realistic, and so it's and of course it's any close up of like a knife going towards an eye, it always makes you kind of like recoil.
And there's no cutaway, right? It's just straight in there.
Yeah, so it's quite so it's quite effective.
Yeah, and again, getting back to this internal logic of the film as well, it's like you're a pimp. Yeah. You have Christina Lindbergh.
Yeah. Why would you?
Why would you disfigure her?
Disfiguring. Yeah, you're. Yeah.
But I suppose that ties into because what happens then is she ends up wearing an eye patch,
right?
And
it becomes her kind of like her.
Yeah, it's iconic.
It's first of all, it's an iconic image, I guess. But but I think it's sort of it becomes her kind of trademark, like
exactly.
Like the iPad, like the pirate.
And it's clearly fetishized.
Right.
So you have different because she changes color iPads as well, eye patches as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that the Daryl Hannah character in Kill Bill was based off of.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I know for a fact Quentin Tarantino was a big fan of this movie.
It seemed like his kind of thing. So I was like, I bet you that Daryl Hannah was based off of this. Right? I didn't know this the other way.
Just to fill in, because I forgot to do this a bit earlier. When I first saw this film many years ago, before there was a DVD and a Blu-ray, it was one of those kind of legendary pictures that I think people had seen in theaters back in the day, and they raved about it. Quentin Tarantino among them.
Right.
But then it was actually quite difficult to see, and certainly it was difficult to see in this full 170-minute version with all the violence and the hardcore insert.
Right.
In fact, I'm guessing when Quentin Tarantino first saw it in theaters in the States,
there were no hardcore inserts.
No, or more than that. I think there was like at least 20-25 minutes cut out.
Really?
So I don't know how it would have played, but obviously it made an effect
on him too. Yeah.
And I'd heard about it in other guidebooks and stuff. So it was one of those things I wanted to see, and it was built up a bit too much, And then.
Do you think your opinion of it raised this viewing?
Yes, because the first time I saw it as well, it was really shitty quality, like nth generation bootleg. You couldn't really properly see it, and I think it's a film that kind of it's quite well crafted in a way. So I think you have to see it as it's meant to be seen, right? Because it starts looking a bit kind of. The pictures looking muddy. It looks. I don't know what. It kind of looks sleazier, but not in a good way. If you see what I mean. But anyway, it's easy to see now in a full uncut version.
Yeah.
So,
So she becomes One Eye, and then so she kind of like kind of submits to his will and into doing that. She kind of like accepts her life as a prostitute, but and so she kind of becomes quite popular and very like lucrative, and she can make, you can see her like kind of saving money, and then she starts to take classes on her spare time or in kind of off days is the idea.
Yes,
so
I'm assuming. I mean, it's never really spelled out, but I'm assuming because she's submitted, she's earned herself a bit of autonomy, right? So whatever she does in her spare time
is up to her. Right?
The pimp doesn't care.
Exactly. Right, yeah. And so, but of course, he still keeps her because she's still addicted to heroin. Yeah. So that's his kind of like leash that he keeps her on, right?
Yeah.
So he knows that she won't go far because she needs to get the heroin. And so, but
I went out and bought a shitload of heroin after watching this film.
Yeah.
But I saw how effective it was. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. My business is doing quite well.
Yeah, and you fucked a guy named Weirdo too, right?
Weirdo Anderson.
Yeah. Weirdo Anderson. And so she takes these classes. She takes like a shooting class, like a rifle range kind of thing, and then she takes a driving class, and she also takes like a karate, judo kind of martial arts type class, right?
Yeah.
So you can see that she's obviously. You get the impression that probably she's leading up to something. If you don't know anything going into this movie, you're assuming that she's training herself for something. That there's a purpose to these choices. That she's not just for an interest sake, right?
And also, she, with her newfound quote unquote freedom, she manages to kind of go back to her childhood home, and she discovers because during her enslavement. The pimp has written letters to her parents, right? Basically saying, I just want to fuck you. I've had enough.
I hate you. I don't want to live with you anymore, and I hate you. And then the parents have killed themselves,
pretty much,
because they were so despondent that the daughter hated them so much, right?
Played by Gunnel Wardner and Per Axel Arosinius are the parents,
right?
And also the other credit I wanted to mention. There's also other girls. In this stable, right? And one of them is Solveig Anderson, who was in another few kind of softcore sex movies around this time. Just wanted to give them credit, Jack.
So she, you can see her training, and she, it's like again kind of montagey where she's, having sex. Going to class, having sex, going to class, counting her money, and it kind of goes and you can see her. She's getting more and more and more. Yeah. And there's another kind of subplot with she makes kind of a friendship with another one of the prostitutes who kind of teaches her kind of the ways that you'll never get out of here. And
that's Solveig Anderson.
Right. And then she kind of ends up getting killed. Right, it's kind of like real kind of bloody sheet kind of scene, kind of thing.
Right,
so,
I guess some client went a bit too far.
Crazy, right? So she sees
maybe it was Weirdo Anderson.
Yeah. And so you see her that she's getting up lots of motivation to strike back at these people, right? Yeah, and so it was good. It was kind of a good build up. Yeah, and then eventually you see her kind of like peak in her classes. She gets to the point where she's like a marksman.
Can't teach you anything.
Teach you anything else, right? Oh, you're the student has surpassed the master kind of stuff, right?
Right.
And then she gets to the karate class, and the karate teacher kicks her out because he sees that she's got heroin.
Right.
And so he's a real kind of like stickler. You can tell he's real like hard ass and stickler for the thing of that. And then the driver, she ends up passing all the driving tests and never. Right. Great driver.
It's a very kind of. What I quite like about it as well, it's a very low-key kind of just the facts, mom kind of build-up as well, right?
Yeah.
But it's quite absorbing. Like you're not bored. It's just like she's doing. There's no kind of. It's very kind of matter-of-factly, just slowly told. And then every now and again you get to see Christina Lindbergh naked as well, so that kind of maintains your interest. So it's good in that way. It's one of those films that has its cake and eats it, right? Because you're building up for righteous revenge for all the shit she went through, but you also get to see the shit she went through as well. So it's like, okay, great, fully rounded, satisfying,
So eventually, I guess the dam breaks, and so she's ready to go, and then she. You want to take us home with this one?
Yeah, well, basically it's revenge time, right? It's highly fetishized revenge time. So she dons a long black leather coat.
Yeah.
She's got her eye patch and a mini dress.
Full
and,
exploitation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sawn off shotgun.
Yeah.
And she goes around and basically slaughters everyone who's wronged her.
Right. Yeah.
And
Including all the Johns and all the the and of course the guy, and he somehow, even though he should have been the first one to go, he somehow gets away.
Well, you got to build up to the end of level boss, right?
The last boss, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right. So,
who is kind of killed in a slightly kind of ingenious way as well, right? She spoilers, by the way.
What, if you haven't figured it out by now.
Right, basically, she kind of she buries him in the ground and puts a rope around his neck,
attached to a horse.
Which is just out of reach of like a bucket of food, right?
Yeah.
And then the horse eventually just kind of can't resist anymore,
Right.
and
Yeah, and then strangles
Dead
him.
pimp.
So,
Yeah.
it was a little. Although I'd be honest, I expected a little bit more of like I mean, there was like a car chase and there was a bus.
Yes.
But the actual death, his death was actually kind of like anticlimactic. I found, which is, I mean, it was just like a slow choking. Basically, it was like strangling kind of. Like,
to be honest,
I thought it was gonna be a lot more like an explosion or like pokes his eye out or something. Some sort of like. It didn't seem quite as. It seemed a little bit like. I don't know. I just expected. I was a little disappointed with how low key that.
Right, I know what you mean, but
was.
for me it works because I think by the point you get to that point of the film, it's because I suppose we should mention as well that a lot of this film happens in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the killings and things.
Yes, that's the other thing is that everything is
in this
slowed down.
slow motion,
like,
and then
slow motion
you add to this soundtrack by Ralph Lunston, which is this kind of really weird reverb-soaked kind of synth electronic bloops, and everything's just slow motion. So it's quite trippy. It's like I can imagine. Getting stoned to this film would be a lot of fun.
Right,
I think.
Yeah.
So and after the car chase and everything, and as I said, during the car chase, another thing, this kind of the internal logic of this film. I've never seen cars explode quite so easily.
I thought it was so funny.
They just get clipped.
Boom. Yeah.
Because this is another. In
Yeah.
general, this is another bugbear of mine. Actually, is how easily cars blow up in films. Because from what it
was almost like a satire of that.
Exactly,
you know?
almost.
So,
I don't know if it was or if it was just.
I'm sure it was.
We need cars
Yeah,
exploding.
the explosion was so.
Well, literally, like cars would just clip the back of the. It's hilarious.
I was like, I don't want to ride in these cars, man.
Because as far as I understand, in real life, it's really hard to get a car to explode. Like even if you
of course.
shoot a fuel tank at point blank range, it's
yeah.
probably not going to blow up, right?
Exactly.
They're designed not to blow up.
Exactly, that's the point, right?
And always in films, they go over cliffs and blow up.
I was like, well, maybe the 70s they blew up a lot easier. I don't know.
And it always annoys me.
Swedish cars, I guess. Maybe I don't know.
Because it often doesn't. They don't. Usually in films, there's no reason for it. Like if there was the explosion, then led to something else happening, like Mousetrap style, I get it. But usually, someone's flown over a cliff. They're fucking toast, right?
Yeah.
There's no need, but they just like the just like a full stop on it. So it normally annoys me, but
punctuation.
The fact that they blew up so easily and frequently in this, I thought it was quite hilarious.
Funny, actually. It seemed like it was a comedy almost about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was intended that way though. But.
I don't know. It's such an odd film
I guess so,
that I wouldn't be surprised either way.
If they were,
Yeah. So I think by the time they do get to the end, and with the revenge motif and her waiting for him on the windswept mountain, and there's a whole it gets a bit of a western feel as well at this point.
Right, yeah.
So for me, I totally understand. And maybe it's because I was watching it a second time, so I wasn't expecting it.
Right. Yeah.
But it's kind of it's gone beyond that kind of peak thing, and it's into a more kind of slightly, I don't know, existential kind of feel, you know.
Yeah, okay.
And then she just drives off, and
I think it just felt like I can buy that, but it just the fact that they would have so many cars exploding so easily felt like they wanted that like a really big. Something for the final boss, you know?
Yes.
So I was surprised that they didn't go that way.
Maybe they ran out of explosives. So what did you make of this film, Ron? Did you like this film?
I mean, as much as you can really like a film like that. Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. It was. I mean, I assume I mean, I can only imagine that this, as we talked about Tarantino a little bit, like this was probably, it was kind of legendary status in terms of like inspiring lots of things that came later, right? So,
well, actually, not so much. I think because, like I said, I'm not exactly sure how many people actually got to see it. I mean, it was one of those things that was. People had heard of it, word of mouth, but not so many people had necessarily seen it.
It seems also like kind of like that, like the 70s. It was really big onto like those types of movies,
yes.
like the revenge, like the Death Wish, and all those kinds of.
And especially the rape revenge thing as well.
So it seemed like a bit of a trope, kind of, right? So
it's certainly.
But was it a trope by the time this movie was made, or
yes,
was
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so
although it's a fairly early entry into
that genre. Yeah. So, but at the very least, so I mean, having lots of experience with that kind of genre since then. It's hard to see it from the early kind of perspective, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought that the slow motion was a little overused for myself. It got a little tiring for me. I was like, okay, more.
There's one or two scenes.
I get the point why they use it. That it's sort of almost like having that they can't do a lot of what they wanted to do. Like it's sort of like they don't have the martial arts background. They can do that. So they were trying to slow it down to make it look more impressive.
Yes.
You know, and that worked for a little bit, but I think it was a bit overdone.
Yeah, it paints over the cracks and stuff. Plus, it gives it this kind of weird feel.
Right. Yeah.
And but I know what you mean. There was one or two scenes where it's just like. Most of them are fairly well judged, like the slow motion and cut. Okay, but there's the one where it's and it's like, oh, hang on now. It's like it's like she knocks a policeman over or something, and then you have to wait for him to get back up again for him to kick anything. You should have probably had an edit in the middle there.
Right, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, so.
But because of the slightly trippy nature of it as well, I think you kind of go with it because you're in that headspace, right? So I think it's a really good film. Yeah, like I said, to kind of sit down with and chill out. Right? And it'd be fun to see in a theatre, I would imagine. Go into an old grindhouse theatre, back in the day, and even if it was cut, I would imagine if it was edited well enough, it would probably still work. Sit there, with your little dime bag. Roll a joint and get into it. It's probably quite good fun. I can certainly see why it has.
Good. It was fun.
I enjoyed it more than Kill Bill, for example. Which, in retrospect, thinking about it, not only the Daryl Hannah thing, but thinking about it, I think there's probably a lot of influence in this in Kill Bill in terms of. His use of like the Ironside music and stuff, and like trying to get that world, like the film exists in its own world kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
But somehow in Kill Bill, for me personally, it doesn't work because there's it's a I don't know it's not too many cooks because it's pretty much one person's vision, but too many concepts or ideas. Like it's Quentin Tarantino, going mad with all the things he loves, right? All the types of exploitation movies, and he crams it all into one. And I think for me, it's a bit overstuffed. So it lacks this is a very streamlined film. Do you know what I mean? It's like A to B. Right. This is what it is. Boom. Yeah. So, and of course, it's like an hour shorter than Kill Bill or whatever. So, right. Let's have a quick look here. Anything I missed? You any final notes?
Thanks for bullying me into watching it.
You're welcome. Yeah. See, that's why you should submit, Ron, because it's good for you.
I agree with you.
So anyway, So.
moving on to your reaction then.
Yes, so you were mentioning the rape revenge thing, and initially that was my kind of thought. I was going to go thematic, so I was thinking, okay, which kind of other rape revenge film should I go with?
But instead, you went the easy route, and you
let me just take you down.
You didn't really want to think about it. And you just went
well, no, I did think about it, and I shall take you down the back roads of my mind.
Oh, wonderful.
So I was thinking about it, and there's so many I could have chosen, and the other possible choice as well was
path it is in your mind.
You can never get too much Christina Lindbergh either. So I was thinking of going Christina Lindbergh because she actually made a film in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Which I've never actually seen. So I've always wanted to see it. I have a copy, so I think this is a good excuse to see that. It's kind of interesting. It's interesting for us. It's all Japanese stuff's always kind of interesting for us, right? Because but I didn't go down that route, and I was thinking of rape revenge, and I was thinking, well, which rape revenge movie? And the rape revenge movie, I think I would like to discuss with you above all others would be the granddaddy one, Last House on the Left.
Right.
I'm assuming you must have seen Last House on the Left at some point.
I have seen Last House on the Left. There is a story that goes along with my viewing of that movie, but if you're going to choose that someday,
I
will wait and save it for then.
Yes. No, to be honest, that's good because I think it's a film, and not that it's a, it's a very, very flawed film and I have my issues with it, but I think it's a fascinating film to discuss. I think we'll have fun discussing that.
Okay.
But I didn't go for it because it's not quite analogous to this film, right? Because for a start, this is more of a woman is raped and takes revenge herself, whereas Last House on the Left, she's actually raped and killed, and the
family takes revenge.
And the family takes revenge. So it's a slightly different thing.
Right.
So that's why I didn't go with that. So instead, I thought, oh, hang on, this. We didn't actually mention that Thriller: A Cruel Picture is a film by this guy called Bo Arne Vibinius. Right, under the pseudonym Alex Fridolinski. We forgot to mention that. We shouldn't mention it because it's a very auteurish kind of piece. So I decided to choose the one other film that I know of by Bo Arne Vibinius, which is 1975's Breaking Point, which was a film I had never seen before, but I was aware of, but I didn't really know what it was. I just know people who love, they call her One Eye, that has a major cult, and then there's this kind of much smaller cult of people who track down this, because this film as well doesn't exist, there's no Blu-ray or anything of this film, there's only kind of a slightly shoddy quality versions of this film. Right. The version we saw is nowhere near as good looking as Thriller: A Cruel Picture. But I'd never seen it before, didn't know much about it, and I'm assuming you hadn't seen this either, right?
No.
Okay. So, Breaking Point, once again by Bo Arne Vibinius, who did everything again, I think, under pseudonyms again, Ron Silberman Jr. and Stan Kowalski, but it's all him, although I think some other guy worked on the screenplay called Nat Sharp. And this is quite different from Thriller.
Yeah.
This is an odd one. I'm really glad I actually chose this to talk about because the more I think about this film in retrospect.
Before you continue, I just wanted a disclaimer for the audiences. This is not the 1994 Breaking Point with Gary Busey.
Oh shit, that's what I watched.
Okay. This is also not the 1976 with Robert Culp.
Right.
Directed by Bob Clark.
Yes.
And it's also not the 2009 one with Tom Berenger and Armand Assante.
Okay.
This is the fourth one.
Yes. Well, there's a shitload of Breaking Points.
Lots of Breaking Points. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows it's not those.
Right. No, this is the other one.
The other one.
Yeah. Yes. Where to start with this one? So actually, it stars one Andrea Bellis, who was actually the cinematographer on Thriller.
Okay.
And he gets
so this was before
role.
Or after Thriller?
This was 2 years after.
2 years after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from what I understand with with Boarne Vaibinius was he did direct one film prior to Thriller, which I've never seen. I think it's a fairly obscure kind of. It seems like a coming of age drama or comedy kind of thing, which apparently utterly flopped. And as I don't know if anyone's gone out their way to track it down since Thriller got but I'm guessing people were just, it's not in the same league. And then, from what I understand, when he made Thriller, the concept was to make an incredibly lucrative hit, audience-pleasing picture. That was the idea. Like, I lost money, no one went to see that last film I made, so I'm just going to make an ultra-commercial film, which kind of nowadays seems slightly odd in a way. I mean, on the one hand, I kind of get it. You do all these exploitation kind of points, but very few people would look at Thriller now and think that's a commercial hit. Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Things have changed a bit since the early 70s. So,
well, Tarantino would disagree.
Yes, yeah, of course, but he's the popularizer, right? So Breaking Point, I'm guessing, is him going further down this route, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Let's, more exploitation. Give the people what they want. I'm not quite sure what the thinking behind this film is, but kind of, in a nutshell. Pause to let Ron do the nutshell joke again. Or do we only get one per show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I'm going to have to edit that then. So I don't look like a fool.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
So...
Help, this is me in a nutshell.
There
you go.
Awesome.
Delayed.
So
that was a delayed nutshell.
Andre Bellis plays this kind of office worker, right? He works in an office, and I'm not sure exactly what he does, but he seems to have some kind of very kind of menial
boring
task,
job, yeah.
Right? And he's an awesome, really nice dude straight away, because the first thing we see him doing is sitting at his desk, and a female coworker puts something on his desk, and he just goes, "Bitch." So you can tell he's a really groovy, woke, Me Too kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, prior to this, we do see a woman attacked in her apartment, basically. And it's off screen, but it's implied that it's a rape, right? That this woman was raped and had her head caved in with an ashtray, right? And then we're introduced to Andre Bellis in his office, going "bitch," and obviously like dripping misogyny from every pore of his body, right? So we kind of figure out, it's probably him. Right? I don't think it's set up like a mystery, because he's a creep.
Right.
Sorry, from the get-go.
Right.
So, so that's fair enough. And then the hints that things in this film are maybe a little bit more strange than that is the news report. Right. So basically, as we see, you've got the events, and people are watching the news reports about the things that have happened, and the news report is really strange, right? Because basically, you start off and there's the news anchor, and then he interviews a cop, right? And then the cop's really angry. He's like going, "If only they give us enough power to deal with these scum and stuff." And he's like, seems like that. So that's kind of strange for a start. And then they have a expert on who basically says, if you find yourself in this position, don't fight back, because that'll enrage and then you'll probably get killed. Which might be kind of good advice, but the way he words it, he goes, you'll only get ripped. It's like, okay. And plus as well, they're like, the cops, they're going, "That asshole." So it's like no other news report you've ever seen before. So clearly there's something a bit... Because it's dubbed as well. It's dubbed in English. You're not quite sure. Is this just bad dubbing? But I'm judging by how familiar Swedes are with English as well. I'm thinking, So then we go inside the life of this Andrea Bellis character, and he plays with his model train set at home, and he just seems very kind of he has all this pent up anger, and there's like a screaming baby next door, the noise coming through the wall, so he's like shuts it out by reading train magazines and books, and his head is filled with like sound effects of like shunting trains and stuff, and so again it's got this very kind of slightly psychedelic kind of soundscape. Again, Ralph Lunston, but what they've done here, which surprised me, is they've stolen the famous Anton Karas soundtrack from The Third Man, right? The ding 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 ding. The what is that? Zither or something? I can't remember the instrument. But it's like one of the most famous movie soundtracks of all time. And when you hear it coming from this movie, you think, oh, okay, that kind of threw me for a loop. But then it's also it's treated, it's electronically treated, isn't it? It's reverb and phased. So yeah, it's just very. Everything is peculiar. It's off kilter. Yes, and then we see him on his lunch break going out to stalk women on the street on the soundtrack, including this woman played by Barbara Scott, who's the only other person I kind of recognized, and he follows her on the subway, and he follows her back to her apartment, and he breaks into her apartment, and then that's when this movie breaks into hardcore, like they call it one night, except much more extensive. Right?
Yes.
There's a lot of hardcore footage in what is ostensibly not really a porn film, although
it basically
is for long stretches.
Yeah, it basically is.
Yeah, and plus it is him.
Yeah,
and it is the actresses.
It's not no body doubles.
No, there's no like genitalia. Well, there are genitalia close-ups, but also the camera pans. Oh, it is actually them getting it on. Yes, so when he's not going out and raping women, or is he? We get some more news reports, and apparently in this, I don't know, alternative world, the cops are handing out guns, right? They're like they've decided to ration guns to people. You just have to go and pick them up at the gun store. Which he does. He goes to a gun dealer, and this is Per-Axel Orsinius, the father from Thriller.
Okay,
And he plays the gun dealer, who's like the one person in the film creepier than Andrea Bellis.
Right.
And he explains to him how he has this long monologue. He's explaining about like the cartridges, right? And he's for the bullets for the gun, and he's talking about something called fragmentation ammo, right? He's saying, they got this new fragmentation ammo, which are basically exploding bullets, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, you can't get these. Regular citizens can't get these. And he's talking, while clearly selling him for some strange reason.
Right.
What also amused me about this is he mentions, only the military has it, but there's also nuclear ammo.
Yeah.
And I think, what the fuck is that? Or like bullets with toxic waste.
Yeah. They make you melt radioactive bullets.
Very, very odd.
But anyway, the excuse, it's sort of like the exploding cars in Thriller.
Yes.
The excuse of these bullets is so that they can make people explode.
Yes.
Just by shooting them once.
Yes. And then the whole time he's also fantasizing about, there's like one co-worker in particular, there's blonde, isn't there, who he thinks is kind of a bit of a cock tease, I guess.
But I couldn't tell if was she actually doing that, or was it just in his mind? Or
I think the more the movie progresses, that becomes the issue, right? Is how much of this is in his mind. And it struck me, it's not a million miles away from what happened years later in American Psycho, right? It's got that kind of vibe to it a bit.
Well, not that many years later. It was in the 80s that was a person.
Oh, the book.
Psycho was a
book,
yeah.
So. But I was thinking primarily of the way they do it in the film. I think, because there is a bit of a difference between the film and the book. Right. So he fantasizes about that, and he jerks off into a cup and brings it to work and puts it in her coffee, right? And again, it's similar to the pimp driving up in his car. You just think, don't, like when the creepy guy who refers to you as bitch when he says, "Oh, I've made you a cup of coffee. There it is. Why don't you drink it?" You're thinking, "No, don't do that." And of course, she drinks his the cum-laced coffee, and he's like smirking. And then he has a really weird. He has a bunch of kind of dream sequences as well, where you imagine. There's one really strange one where there's a woman sucking him off, and then a fly lands on the tip of his cock.
Yeah.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
I'm not normally, dream symbolism in films is quite on the nose or easy to figure. In this case, I don't know what that is.
It wasn't on the nose. It was on the
On
tip.
the cock,
It was on the tip of the cock.
Yeah, and again, there's exploding cars in this as well.
Right.
And yes, and then he goes to a bank. Oh no, hang on. He picks up a hitchhiker, right? He picks up a hitchhiking woman who's very matter of fact, right? She's like, "You want to fuck me?"
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
"Shall I suck you?" is another one of her lines. And she also says, "When I screw them, they stay screwed." And so they get it on, and then in one of the lowlights, I don't know.
Yeah.
She asks, "You want to see me fuck the gear stick?" And she does. She mounts the gear stick while he watches. I also find it quite amusing that because it's like a weird company hire car or something, right? So when he takes it back to the office, the guy in charge of the carpool or whatever mentions that the gear the knob on top of the gear shift is missing.
Right.
So
Yes.
I'm assuming it's still inside her,
Right.
or he took it as a souvenir or something.
Right.
Yeah. And he then gets mugged. Some more fun.
Yeah.
So he gets, he gets mugged, and then he becomes a hostage following a bank heist. Right, he goes to a bank, and he ends up getting kidnapped.
Right.
Some more of our screaming fans and their dog.
Yes.
Homework for listeners: translate their conversation and email it to the Magic Morning Wood Circle Jerk Facebook group.
Right.
So it's a good excuse to. And if you successfully translate what they're talking about, you will win. What will they win, Ron?
A gear shift.
A gear shift knob. And our still damp. And our undying respect.
Right. Why don't you take a quick break and then we'll wait till them to go away?
Do you think?
Yeah, just take a
Alright,
pause.
we're
Okay, see you in a
pause
second.
it. Yeah. Where's the pause? That one.
Now
Yeah, there we
we're
go.
back.
Yeah,
There we go.
okay.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Yes. So he gets he gets kidnapped by these bank robbers, who do some awesome swearing as well. These people swear a lot. Like, I believe it's something along the lines of, "This motherfucking cocksucking cocksucker fucker motherfucker." It's like really long.
Do it again.
Motherfucking cocksucking cocksucking fucker cocksucking
And you just say the same two over and over.
That's what they do in the film. That's what they do in the film. I swear, you watch it. It's quite hilarious. It's top swearing. It's excellent. Yes. So, and eventually he finds the opportunity to take out his gun and fight back, and he shoots the robbers, and they blow up.
They explode.
And then there's police in helicopter, search for marijuana.
I don't know what that was.
Okay, so sorry. So
I'm not sure what you're doing right now.
you don't know police in helicopter?
I know what you just...
Right, okay. Anyway, these police in helicopter
right.
come after him. And so then it's him versus police helicopter. So at this point you realise is this all in his head? Is this kind of some weird, twisted Walter Mitty kind of fantasy thing? And then he goes to the airport. The very end of the film, he goes to the airport, and you're thinking, oh, is he trying to escape the country, or what's going on? And then he's there to meet his wife and child, who have just come back to town.
Right.
And his wife asks him, anything happened while gone? To which he claims, you know, nothing happens in this shit town. Ding, 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 ding. Again, end of film. That's it.
Right.
Done and dusted.
Yep.
So, was it all in his head?
Did he?
I don't know. But that's kind of one of the things I like thinking about this film in retrospect. And then if that is his wife and child, and I'm assuming they don't all live in that little bed sit that we see him in. So he lives there when they're out of town.
Or that was even out in his head too.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't have a wife and child, or did he do all that stuff?
Or the apartment is in his head.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one.
Was it?
I sense you were less keen on this film.
Well, this one was. I actually watched this one first.
Oh,
so
okay.
my memory of it is even foggier than it was.
Okay.
The thriller.
Okay.
And I remember I was trying to explain to someone the movie that we were going to do today.
Right.
And I could barely even remember what this movie was about.
Okay.
And it was, I mean, not necessarily because it was so long ago, but it was because it was so bored.
Oh, really?
So bored.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
okay.
bored.
It's certainly not as good as Thriller.
Yeah.
I mean, Thriller is undoubtedly a better film.
Right. Yeah.
But and I agree with you. While watching it, some bits I found a tad boring. But
But you know me and especially
Yes,
porn and hardcore
yes.
films. I'm just like I a couple times I kind of like skipped like a couple like a few seconds.
Right.
Okay, is this still just more sex? Okay.
Right,
Okay, yeah,
right,
okay,
right.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
I think what I liked about it also helps that all the sex in this film is kind of quite sleazy, which I quite like, and you don't. So that's another gulf.
Right, yeah.
And it's a lot of it is kind of a bit rapey, non-consensual. Again,
but that was the thing, is that it was supposed to be rapey, non-consensual, but it wasn't. There was really just like a, what are you doing here? And then it was like the real like porn, like okay,
Yeah,
well,
well,
I guess so. Yeah, and
well, like,
the whole like just let them do it.
Yes,
kind of, right? So,
yes.
But then it looked like they were all enjoying it, and I was like, they're not even trying to pretend like they're raped. You know what I mean?
Yes, but again, I guess that's feeding into his fantasy thing that's what they all want.
Do you think it was really that, or is it just
I think so.
They were just not that good as actresses?
No, I think so, because I think if you just wanted to make a straight ahead film full of action, violence, and sex,
right?
I think it would be a lot more straightforward than this. I don't think it would be quite as dreamlike and weird. So I think I'm on fairly solid ground thinking that it is supposed to be a fantasy versus reality thing. You dispute that? You think?
No, I thought so, because again, I couldn't tell. Several times I was like, "Was that real? Was that in his head?" Or whatever. But to be honest, I didn't really care. I was so bored that I was like, I couldn't really be bothered to really analyze it any further than that. You know.
I think probably if you're a fine, upstanding citizen like Ron, you're less likely to find something of interest. If you're a bit of a sleazeball like myself, there's, it has that kind of sleaze to please atmosphere. So I agree with you. Narratively, it does get quite boring. But if you get off on the sleaze, then
it seemed like it would be like a relatively decent porn film. It seemed like it was basically a porn film for me. So it was the same reaction I would have to watching any porn film, which is that it's a porn film, right? So it doesn't really stand out. And I know it's more than a porn film. It's not just it's more of a hardcore film. But for me, it's sort of like the difference is negligible, right? So it was just sort of like meh. It seemed like it was about the sex and all of the narrative around it was just to justify the sex, right? So, and that's really what the porn is, right? It's just a narrative to justify sex.
Well, I think that's not quite right, because I think the ratio of hardcore to non-hardcore is not high enough for it to qualify as a porn film.
I don't think the
Plus,
difference is that.
Plus, in 1975, if you wanted to make a porn film, you would have just made a porn film.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it was sort of an auteur making his version of a porn film.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which is still doesn't. doesn't change that much. So
Right.
Regardless of the semantics and the differences between a porn and this film,
Right.
For me, it was just sort of
quite boring.
It was as boring as one.
Okay. So I think between us, I think we may have basically if you get off on really sleazy atmosphere alone, then you may get something out of this film. But narrative. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You really enjoyed it?
Oh, it kind of turned me on.
Yeah.
And it's a grubby little film, especially because of the quality isn't that
I wanted
great.
to take a shower afterwards.
Yeah, well, for me that's a good thing.
All right.
So like I said, if you're Team Clive, then you might
Right.
you might get off on it. If you're Team Ron, then you're just going to be bored. And I agree with you. Unless you, I would recommend this to people like me, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it to people who have no interest like yourself
Right.
in such things. I think it's probably fair to say. So I'm guessing that's probably you done, is it?
I didn't really have anything to say about that. That's why
Okay.
I didn't even say anything about the quote unquote story. It was just sort of like let you go because I was like, it was.
Yeah, well, it's episodic. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it was just sort of like it was just sort of like okay, he's an asshole. He likes trains.
Right.
He rapes a girl. He goes back to work. Rapes another girl. It's just sort of like okay, right. Got it.
Thriller is crossover. It's a crossover film, right? I think.
Right.
If you're not necessarily, really into hardcore sleaze, you can enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah, you enjoyed Thriller. You could recommend Thriller to someone who doesn't normally watch.
To be fair, I would have enjoyed Thriller just as much, if not more, without the hardcore scenes. I didn't need the hardcore scenes.
I think they call it in Thriller.
I mean, the point of the hardcore scenes is gratuitous, right? I mean, gratuitous,
yeah.
right? And I understand the gratuity of it, right?
Yeah.
Gratuitousness, I guess. But I could have enjoyed it without it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And even in the hardcore scenes in Thriller, I was kind of like, okay, let's just get on with the narrative. I'm more interested in the story.
But they're so brief. I mean, I know some people have complained, it would work better with that. But I think either way,
I didn't say it worked better. I just didn't need it. I was I got the point.
But they're not extensive enough that they really slow the film down. But if you took them out, you'd enjoy the film just as much. So
who decided that they're going to play the drums on a fence or something? What the fuck is happening?
So, that's us done with our inadvertent Bo Arne Vibinius double bill.
Inadvertent? But
you
did that on purpose.
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't know I would... When you chose Thriller with some coercion from myself, I had no idea I was going to choose another Bo Arne Vibinius film. Because as I said, initially I was going to go Last House on the Left or another Christian. That was I surprised myself with that stroke of genius.
Sure.
So for me, at least, it turned out good because I watched Breaking Point, whereas I might not have got around to that, and I rather it's in my little cabinet of curiosities that I would show a fellow pervert. Like if I knew them well enough, after a while, and you found they were one of you, you were like, let me show you this little girl. Whereas for you, it was just another one of those crap films.
You're the old man in the woods at the beginning of Thriller.
That's what I'm going to be when I'm older, and then I'll find out finally why I'm bleeding from my mouth. So there we go. I guess that's us done.
All right, good.
There we go.
That's another edition from the noisy section of the Magic Murder Wood.
Yes, and spoiler alert, the next episode's going to be just as noisy. Yes. See if you can spot similar sound effects.
Not that we're recording at the same time.
No. Yeah. Right.
See ya.
Bye.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Police in helicopter, I search the marijuana. Policemen in the streets, searching for cali weed. Soldiers in the field, burning the cali weed. But if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. Soldier in the herb field, burning the cali weed. Police in helicopter, I search for marijuana. Policemen in the streets, searching for cali weed. But if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane field. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane field. Police in helicopter, I search for marijuana. Policemen in the streets, searching for cali weed. Policemen in the field, burning the cali weed. But if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. We don't trouble your banana, we don't trouble your corn. We don't trouble your pimento, we don't trouble you at all. So if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. Ooh. Police in helicopter, I search for marijuana. Policemen in the streets, searching for cali weed. Policemen in the fields, woy, burning the cali weed. But if you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields. If you continue to burn up the herbs, we gonna burn down the cane fields.